and welcome to Knit All the Things. My name is Laurel. I'm also known as West Maven on Instagram, Ravelry in here. If you're new, this is a space where I talk about all the things I'm knitting, all the things I want to knit, all things yarn, just all the things. And if you're returning, welcome back, knitting bestie. I can't wait to catch up with you. In this week's episode, I'm so excited to share with you the magic that I have found with find the perfect pattern and the perfect yarn, and they're just amazing. So I'm so excited to share this with you. I also have a few updates on some of my previous works in progress, if you will, and you guys helped me pick out the perfect pattern for my wandering flock yarn, and I am just moments away from casting that on. So grab your knitting, get cozy, and let's go. So first off, let's talk real quickly about what I'm wearing. I'm wearing the Misurina. This is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. I used Spin Cycle in Shades of Earth and Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in the colorway. It's either slate or coal. It's whatever the dark gray black is. I think it's slate. Okay, so when I decided to cast this on, I was watching The Grocery Girls, and Tracy had cast on this gorgeous Misurina, and hers was kind of a teal with the Spin Cycle, and I thought, oh, I had knit this one previously behind me in Undine, a yarn by Ritual Dyes, and then actually the Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in the colorway slate or coal, one of those two. So this is the same color as this, but I saw hers and I was just so inspired and totally copied her and did Misurina with Spin Cycle and a solid color, and I just love the way it turned out. It's kind of a warm day here in Portland, and so I thought it was just perfect for this weather. I've talked a lot about it, so I'll just link some videos below if you want, if you're curious about more of the details, but it's really just a fun sweater to knit. I will quickly say that with using a kind of cottony yarn, not the Spin Cycle, but the main color, I chose to, on both of these, I chose to do a ladder back jacquard for the color work. And so it basically is a different way of catching your floats. If you're not familiar, it's actually a very simple technique. There's a lot of help videos out there, but it just, I feel like, catches your floats and makes them invisible in this plant fiber yarn. So if it's something that you're interested in, I would just recommend that. But other than that, it's not necessary, but I think it just adds a little bit of more refinement just so that you're not seeing any color work at all popping through, or the floats, if you will. So I'm so excited, you guys. I have so much to talk about. Let's start with my Audria shawl. So this is a pattern by Inez Sang, or Isangknits. When she was teasing this pattern, I absolutely wanted to cast it on, and I've really enjoyed everything about this shawl. I would say that I have knit now quite a few shawls, but previously it was just like not my jam. And the more that I find myself using them, the more that I want to cast them on. I don't always use them as like a traditional shawl, but almost like a throw or something over, like almost like just a warm cozy around the house. And so when I saw her teasing this, I thought, oh, I'm definitely casting that on. And it has beautiful color work and lace sections, and it's just really a beautiful shawl. I am using Knitting for Olive powder mohair held with Qing fiber Moody and the yak silk base. And then this is Yarn Nouveau's black coral mohair held with Lola Bean Yarns yak base, and the color is Name Me. But I really love how this is turning out. I think the last time I've only probably knit this much, but it's still being worked on. I actually just grab it and do at least, 2 rows, if you will, each night, just so that it's getting some work on it, because other things have definitely taken up my time. Because it's color work, I did catch my floats fairly frequently, just to kind of keep, for a shawl, keep it all tidy so it won't get snagged later on. I'm I'm really enjoying this pattern. So what's left? I have one more, basically this section once more, the colorwork section with a lace panel. That's actually what will be next. And then there's going to be, I think, one more stockinette section, and then you have a beautiful scalloped ribbing. I feel like it's gonna take a long time. I think that's partially what slowed me down as I was going. There's probably 400 plus stitches on the needles right now. And then I started thinking about doing I think it's a twisted rib. It might not be, but I think it is twisted rib with scallops. And I think I got overwhelmed, which sometimes I think happens to me. Like if I skip too far ahead of a pattern, it feels overwhelming. If I just go step by step, it really just is fine. But I got in my head a little bit with this one and I kind of just slowed down. So that's why I'm just trying to do like a couple of rows a day and just continue on. But it also, since it's kind of it will be a very warm shawl and it's on like size 3 needles, it's not being rushed at the moment because there's other things. So I would say since the last podcast with yarn festivals coming up in mind, I think it kind of lit a fire under me. And so I had cast on the Cumulus, I think it's the Cumulus T by petiteknit. There's about 4 or 5 patterns. This is the V-neck version. It's in black. It's in Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the colorway Coal. And this is just such a nice true black. I think I just had started in the round the last time we talked, so I've made some progress. I've knit about that much, and I do just grab it and go for it. I do think I'm getting a little bit tired of the stockinette, which is, I think once I finish this ball of yarn, which I'm pretty close to, I think I will either switch to the sleeves or finish the neck, because I just need a little something different. But I am trying to hurry and finish this because I do want to wear it. I think it'll be so nice. And I did decide to do a size medium. I don't know if this pattern, I've had it for quite a while. I don't know if this one is like quote unquote completely size inclusive, but a lot of the other Cumulus patterns are. And I do know that sometimes when Petite Knit has put out a pattern, if it's not size inclusive, like somewhere along the line, they do go back and kind of add more sizes. So that might be the case with this one. But she does have an O-neck version or like a crew neck. Then there are, I think, different weights. There might be like an all lace, like mohair held double or something one. I can't remember. Long sleeve one. So there's a few different options. But I had originally been a little bit, I guess not put off isn't the right word, but I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this raglan, because it has just like one stitch and then the raglan increases. And I wasn't sure how I was going to feel or love that. But so far, I think it does look really nice. So I'm just trying to get this done. At this point, I'm just trying to get it done. It's knit on, I think, 2.5, US 2.5 needles. It's just taking a while, and thankfully it is stockinette, so this is again like the car project. I take this with me a lot of times, and I think that right now my only piece of advice, if you decide to knit this, is just get to knitting in the round. Like, make that a goal, because I feel like it feels like it's taking a really long time, especially when you're knitting it flat. If you can just like set small goals for yourself, if it's just like, I'm gonna knit 10 rows, or I'm gonna, whatever it is, like set small goals for yourself and it will feel much more doable. I will also say that if you read the project notes, everyone loves this tee. Everyone absolutely loves it. They do not love making it. Like, I've seen people make multiple ones on their projects, but the majority of people kind of are like, oh, this is the most amazing tee. I'm so glad I made it, but boy, I didn't love that. So I think it's just that it's tedious and it's time consuming and it's tiny needles. But I do think once it's done, it will be amazing. And I could see myself making another one, but probably not for some time. So that's kind of the review of the pattern. It's well written. I have been enjoying it now that I've finished, now that I'm just knitting in the round. It's much more user-friendly or much more doable. So that's kind of where I'm at with that one. So let's talk about my dream sweater. I feel like it either must look like I make no progress or make a lot of progress, depending on where you are following this journey. Okay, so this is the Pina Colada sweater by Laura Zukaite, and it is a intarsia project that is knit using 2 different weights of yarn, and the lace weight is carried throughout the whole thing, and the sport weight is your kind of intarsia trellis looking motif or diamond motif, and then you hold the 2 colors together on those areas. So this one is the one I'm struggling with a little bit. This one has kind of gotten a lot less love. I would say the first week after the last podcast, I spent a lot of time knitting on it because I was seeing progress and kind of wanting to move it along. But I just am feeling a little bit of frustration because of how time consuming this is. I really obviously know that if I monogamously knit on this, I would have part of it done. But I think, again, it's that mind game that you kind of play with yourself. So I'm gonna knit the back or the front or whatever piece this is, and then I have to knit 3 more pieces. I'm gonna knit another one that's about the same size for the front or the back or whatever we're doing, and then a sleeve. So I'm kind of thinking 2 things, and maybe you can help me out with this. I am not sure if I should, when I'm done with this piece, definitely go and do the front or the back or whatever. I don't know which one this is, but whatever other side I need to do that next so that the tension is similar. Or should I give myself a break and then hop over to a sleeve or 2? Because I have a feeling the sleeves are going to fly because I will have a lot less bobbins to manage. I'll have obviously shorter back and forth rows, and I'm kind of thinking maybe that will help. I also am kicking myself a little bit that I didn't start with the sleeves just to like get that part done. So I'm not sure. Should I put this on hold and do sleeve? Like, if you have any feedback on maybe helping me get through this little knitting hump that I'm going through, it would help. I'm not really, I think, slowing down because of weather, because I really do think I could wear this. Like, it might be on the warmer side, but I do think, like, especially evening, I could still probably wear it because it's so airy, one of those 2. But yeah, so the yarn that I used is yarn Nouveau in Sapphire, their sport base, and then Isager Alpaca 1 in the color, it's the black colorway, and it's either 30 or 31, and I'll put all the information in the description. But yeah, I don't know. I'm also, like, I do know this kind of stretches a bit, so maybe I only have, like, maybe I'm halfway on the front. I don't know. I'm not sure. So that's where I'm at with this. I'm trying not to feel frustrated, but I am a little bit feeling frustrated. And I don't know how to get past that frustration just because I don't think that it's a project problem. I think it's a mental problem that I'm having with this project. It's just a mental block that I think I'm having, and I'm trying to think of a way to reframe it in my mind to be excited and want to move through it. Or maybe I should just pause on this project, even though I want the finished object. It's just been a struggle. I don't know. It's really mind-blowing to me because I really thought the struggle was like just starting. But once I started, I kind of went a little ways and got excited, and now I've kind of lost some steam on that. Okay, so I picked up some Wandering Flock, and this is their cotton Lino base, and I asked you guys, pretty please, can you help me out, find a pattern? Like, what do you think of these 3 patterns? And I presented to you 3 patterns that I really loved and I thought could look really nice with this. And The 3 patterns were the Limetta pattern by Yamagara. I'll pop them here. The the Hanami by Knitting for Breakfast, and the Hashibami by Ririko. And I really thought about it. I took your guys' advice, and I think I will be casting on the Hashibami by Ririko using this yarn, and I'm really excited. I think the lace will turn out really nice. I think it's gonna look great with this yarn, and I'm pretty excited to see how this turns out. I do believe that I'm going to be doing probably a 3/4 sleeve. I'm not gonna do fully long. I don't think I'm gonna do completely short. I think it's gonna be somewhere in the middle, maybe, I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out together. We'll see how much yarn I have and see where I'm at. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. And the only reason that I did not immediately cast this on, when I kind of came to that conclusion, was you do have to do some ribbing at the neckline, and it's on a 2.5 needle, and I couldn't do it right now. I can't even think about another 2.5 size needle with the Cumulus and the US 3 shawl, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't get there in my mind. So I'm gonna get a little bit further on my Cumulus, and really I only have just like so much ribbing, and then I get to start on a US 4, so I just have to get past that. I also, honestly, this is how bad it is right now. I almost thought, oh, I should just do a provisional cast on, and then I'll just go on the 4 and then come back and do the neckline, but I don't think that'll look good. So I think I actually just have to do it the right way, and I just need to bite the bullet and get it done. So that's where I'm at right now. Total, not really a problem, but kind of a problem. Again, mental blocks with knitting. Okay, but here's where it gets so good. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, so I bought this yarn. It's Noro Competo. This is color 1 or color A. I think it's color 1. So this yarn has an amazing fiber content, and the fiber content for this yarn is 35% silk, 35% cotton, and 30% nylon. And it's just a really cool yarn. It's so much fun to knit with. I will say, I don't want to demonstrate, but if you pull, like if you get a snag and you want to like yank it, it will pull apart. Not like a Lopi yarn where they easily like pull apart, or the unspun, but it definitely is a lot stronger knit up, and it's really cool. The way I wish I could visit this mill. I actually really do, because the way that the colors are just dispersed are so pretty, and it's not necessarily a striping, but it is kind of a striping. I'll show you what I mean. So I originally bought this yarn, which I never do, for a test knit. And I started the test knit. I got part of the yoke done, and I was not loving it. I was not loving it for this pattern. It just wasn't working. And I ended up setting it aside and finding some other stash yarn, which is typically my rule. So I would say 100% of the time, all of my successful test knits, I use stash, which gives me the permission to have a little bit of stash, because I want to go to my stash, shop my stash for a test. That's like a rule that I normally have with myself. Don't know why. It's just I want to be able to go to my stash, get excited about some yarn for the pattern that I see before I even apply to the test. That's how I normally operate. But I had seen this yarn on the Instagram of my local yarn shop, Close Knit Portland. And I thought, okay, I wanted the yarn really, really bad. And I was like, okay, well, this could work. This will be fine. And so I got it, and the couple of things happened. The yarn amounts changed on that pattern too, so I knew I was gonna have to buy a second one, and it doesn't matter. But basically, it failed. It didn't work for the pattern, and then I ended up using stash yarn, which is what I probably should have done, because that was my rule to myself. So I set that project aside. I had to unwind it before I could cast this on, but I've been looking for something else that was on a larger needle. Like, it had to be a US 6 or higher. Like, that was bottom line. I'm not doing anything else. I'm done with the tiny needles. I need something for my hands that's different. So I put in on Ravelry, I searched by gauge because I thought, okay, I can do like 20 stitches, 19, 20 stitches, because I think that was the gauge of the other pattern. And I did get gauge, but again, I just wasn't happy with what was going on in the pattern. And it essentially was the increases were looking really sloppy with this yarn. And there wasn't a lot I could do because I didn't want to like pull it too tight and have it kind of potentially break or be weak there. And I was just having problems. So I wanted something that was at least 19 to 20 stitches per 4 inches or 10 centimeters. And I wanted something else that was just maybe a throw on for a summer evening or just an everyday wear for the year. And so I kind of in my head had imagined just a happy little almost sweatshirt-like knit that I could do that would just be like comfy, cozy, throw on, will look cute with jeans. And this is what I did. So this pattern is actually the Cloud Blouse by Petite Knit. And it does have, I think, a 20 stitch gauge. And I think it's turning out beautifully. So this pattern originally was made for 2 strands of mohair. And I was a little concerned, like, is this gonna be, because cotton's a little bit heavier, but this yarn is so light. The way that it's spun, it's very light. It is very uneven. So I had a little bit moment of panic on especially like some of these areas where it's definitely like bigger stitches, but I think it's just gonna add to the charm of this. But I really, really, really like it. I'm enjoying the just ease of this pattern, and I'm really liking knitting with this yarn. Every stitch is like exciting just to see what will happen. And I just think it's so pretty. So I finished the back panel to the arm hole, and now I'm doing the front. And I probably have, I don't know, maybe another 2 inches to go before I'm ready to join in the round. Maybe a little bit longer. And I'm just really liking it. I think probably longer. I'm probably delusional. This is probably longer. But I'm really enjoying it. And I just really, really love how this is turning out. So again, this is Noro yarn, Noro Completo, color A. And this is the Cloud Sweater by Petite Knit. So a couple things about this pattern. First thing, I'm gonna say this and I'm probably gonna find out later that this is a lie. So just bear with me. But I cast on differently than I think I'm used to seeing. And I'll tell you how. So you cast on by however X many stitches, and then you immediately mark off basically where your shoulder increases are gonna be. And then you break the yarn. And then you pick up from the middle and you start doing short rows. I don't think I've ever done it this way. Like, am I crazy? Maybe I have and I just don't remember. But man, I don't think I've done it this way before. And I'm sure I'll find out that I absolutely have. But I felt like, what am I doing? So this, I think, though, is very good for this yarn. Because if you look, I don't have like weird, funky things. My little kind of a couple of stripes that I have are really even. Everything's looking good. Like, I think it turned out nicely. So I guess it all worked out, but I don't think I've ever cast on in that way. So that was kind of different. The other thing that I thought was kind of different and unique about this pattern is that instead of having this be invisible or whatever it is, it's a garter kind of bump at the shoulder just to give it a little bit of interest. I think this is probably also because if it was knit in mohair, it gives it something. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of lost. So you do kind of have this nice line. I'm trying to block my face. And that's kind of a nice little touch. And then you will pick up the neckline and do a nice neckline, pick up sleeves. Okay, so I thought I would try to go through some of the yarns online, because if you're anything like me, then sometimes you'll see something, you're like, oh my gosh, I want that yarn, but it's really, really hard to tell like what the difference is and colors and whatnot. So this is color 1. This one happens to be the more, I would say, gray leaning or cooler leaning neutral of all the colors. And it has, of course, the bright like pinks and purples and yellows and this kind of bright blue. So that's color 1. Color number 3 is going to be beige leaning. So while this is the like cool neutral, I wouldn't call it a warm neutral. I'd say it's a pretty cool beige, but it has a lot of the same pops of color as this one does, but it's definitely on the beige spectrum. Even I would go as far as saying the slightest yellowish tint. Color number 4 is their yellow of this version. It has a lot more pinks and purples than this one does, and I would say it's definitely a yellow. Their green is going to have a lot of the same colors as this, but it's going to be on a seafoam green base, and that is color 5. Color 6 is a pink base, like a peachy pink, and color 7 is their purple, which is gorgeous. It kind of reminds me of my Madara purple color, which is like a very beautiful lavender. And then color number 8 is a bright blue, and I would say it's leaning close to this like bright blue speckle. And that one of all of them looks the more tweedy than the kind of color bands that this one has. It's the best I can describe it. I almost got the blue, but I just don't typically wear that bright blue color, and so I went kind of to my safety, which is a light gray instead, and I'm really enjoying how this is turning out. So I'm really excited to see. I'm sure the stripes will be a little bit more apparent like on the sleeves because your circumference is a lot smaller, but I really like how this is turning out. I'm really enjoying knitting it. I'm really excited to get it done to wear it. I've probably, I want to say the back was like 2 days, and this might be 2 days of knitting the front, but I really want to knit it like all the time. This is the project that's like calling my name from the project bag because I really just want to knit it so badly. I think I want to get it done and just like sit outside in the evening, like roast marshmallows, just hang out. I think, I don't know, it's just so cute. It's so happy. Part of me thought about doing short sleeves. Maybe that will happen. But I also just think I really want it to be kind of a sweatshirt. So who knows? I might just need to make more things with this yarn. So pretty. I'm really, really liking this yellow stripe and this kind of yellow stripe down here. I think those are really fun. So I'm just really excited. I really want to get this done to wear. I think it's just so pretty. So this kind of rust color hasn't come back up yet. I'm kind of waiting for it to make an appearance. We'll see. So that is my cloud sweater, again by Petite Knit. It is a top-down drop shoulder sweater, and it's been so fun to knit, so fast. I actually think it's such a good shape that it would be easy to make a bunch of these and just do whatever you want. You could do stripes, you could do plain, you could do a mohair and a fingering weight, you could do 2 strands of mohair, 2 strands of suri. Like, I do feel like it's a very easily customizable pattern, and I'm enjoying it. At first, I was really worried that I didn't knit it big enough because when I first checked my gauge was off. Like, I did a gauge swatch, then I checked my gauge after I had knit just a little bit, and I think I was watching the, what is that show? The Mole? And I guess they were doing something intense because I was knitting pretty tightly. But it's kind of a fun show. If you haven't seen it, there's a new season, but I watched the first season of it, and it basically is doing missions and somebody's kind of trying to sabotage them along the way. It's just really fun. It's like a fun reality show. So yeah, that's been kind of my hardcore knitting. The other thing that has been going on in the back of my mind, and I feel like with a lot of people, not just me, but my friend Lino showed me this gorgeous vest that was made by Dior, and we have been talking about how we want to make a knitted colorwork vest of some kind. And just for inspiration, etc., I found this amazing book called 200 Feral Motifs, A Knitter's Directory, and it's by Mary Jane Mucklestone. I'll link it below. This book is amazing. First off, it has amazing feral designs, but beyond that, it talks about the yarn you should use, how to use the motifs, what they generally are laid out like, how to steek a sweater, needles and stuff that you should use, things you should keep in mind, how to do different types of swatches, how to do different cast-ons, how to knit in the round, like how you should hold your yarn when you're doing color work. Talks about color dominance. It is insane how much information is in this book. How to correct mistakes in your color work. Like, it's mind-blowing to me. There is a whole section on color theory and color harmonies, what you should think of when you're choosing your colors for a project like this, and just honestly, it's so amazing. It's so amazing to me. And I really, really wish I would have had this sooner. It blew my mind. So this is a highly recommend. I'll link it below. It is like a must-have if you enjoy colorwork knitting. So I'll link it below. I had to share this because I haven't really done anything yet with it, but I was blown away by all the extra information. So not only is it a great stitch dictionary, but just like having something written in a book somewhere that talks about steeking, for example, is nice because I can refer back to it. I could watch videos too, obviously, and I probably will, but having just an additional resource for that was amazing. And it's easy to like pick motifs. They're all just laid out and it tells you where the pattern is. And then it gives, even in the patterns, it gives a couple of different options. Like, let's say you want your center to have a little bit of a different color layout. So it gives a couple of options. Like maybe you want it to be 3 color and you want it to be like 1, 2, 3. Maybe you want it to be more of a fade, or however you can change the patterns into different ways. So much information. Like I really couldn't say anything better about this book. It really is awesome. So I wanted to share that with you because that was one of those things where I feel like I stumbled upon. I hadn't seen the book before. It's not a new book by any means. And so I wanted to share that with you because I did. And I love finding things like that. I think it's amazing, and I think it really builds excitement for me when I see something that I had not discovered before, and now I'm excited to like maybe try to figure out a cool motif to put on a vest and all those things. So I really wanted to share that with you. Other than that, it's been a crazy couple of weeks here. We've had some weird illness, and I've been driving a lot then to lots of doctor's visits and things, and being in the car knitting. So I've had a lot of weird knitting time that is different than my usual late night knitting time, which is why I feel like I've had a lot for the last couple of weeks to share. We've had birthdays, and other than that, I've been honestly just escaping into some fun reality, like challenge type of shows. So if there is one that you love, that you recommend, let me know. I know that The Mole has been around for at least a little while, and I had never watched it. I also watched The Trust recently and thought that was pretty good. And again, it's not a new show, but it's just new to me, I guess. I think I found like a new little genre of reality shows that are now exciting to me. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, if we're not yet knitting besties, make sure to hit the subscribe button below, and please like this video. It tells YouTube the other fiber enthusiasts like yourself enjoy this type of content. Till a couple weeks from now, make some yarn magic. Bye.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wings.